This is my speech. I wrote it this morning. My fantasy would be that President Obama would read it and implement it. Do you have a fantasy speech that you'd like the president to deliver? Here it goes. Hello, my fellow Americans and citizens of the world. As you may already know, the security of America and the world is at a critical juncture. Today, especially with increased communication and technological capabilities, a single individual can make an impact that affects the entire global community. The 6 degrees of separation that formerly linked all of humanity is now 2 or 3 degrees, thanks to the internet that might connect a housewife in Des Moines to a Taliban fighter in the Middle East. Places like YouTube are the new final frontier of war or peace. We must recognize that amongst the trivial entertainment bits these sites offer, there also exists nearly the entirety of this planet's movers and shakers, excluding, of course, the Chinese in mainland China. But Google is working on this, I'm sure, as we speak. On the battle lines in the Middle East, we are fighting for peace, but mistakes happen. Bad judgments happen. That is the very nature of war, but we understand the necessity of winning hearts and minds. We help build and rebuild, clothe and feed and educate the locals, yet one misguided airstrike or an errant rifle round, and we suddenly take 2 giant steps backwards towards lawlessness and that brewing collective rage that's feeding the extremists bent on brutal domination. We have come to understand that no war can be won without not just ground support and air support, but cyber support. On the internet, of course, we have operatives siphoning information to gain intelligence in order to prevent terrorism of all types. But the internet isn't just a stream to be tapped for data. The internet is a two-way environment, just like the villages in Afghanistan or Pakistan or Iraq or the West Bank. The internet is a living, breathing virtual village whose inhabitants are growing increasingly wary of each other. Our efforts to win hearts and minds on the internet are nearly non-existent, when in fact the future battles of the world will be fomented and/or averted from the vantage point of this most critical and rapidly growing online community. Today, our Homeland Security YouTube site is a one-way street with few viewers and no dialogue with the rest of the world. We have covert operations, yes, but now is the time for the addition of overt operations. We shall soon enroll tens of thousands of keyboard typing hands to reach out to all, to engage in peaceful dialogues on the internet and stop our up till now myopic, close-fisted, nationalistic approach to solving our global security threats. From this symptomatic approach to this new systemic methodology, we will win hearts and minds in this brave new virtual world that connects us all instantly across all lands, languages, faiths, and ethnicities. And just as peace negotiations in some regions in the Middle East have proved nearly impossible because of the radical fringe, the internet has a dangerous, impactful radical fringe too. For example, a divided people reach out for peace with one hand, while their other limbs are tossing bombs and thusly stopping the peace process before it can begin. How can peace be brokered when internally rooted spoilers lash out at the first sign of a pending overture for dialogue? It can't. The same applies on the internet. Every internet user is either an ambassador for peace or a terrorist bomber. So I invite the people of America, the people of the world, to consider that words are weapons, and when you attack anyone, whether on the street, in your home, or on the internet, you make the job of building hearts and minds that much more difficult. Because you represent to your enemy the nation in which you claim to hail from or the ideology from which you claim to adhere to. Extremists on many sides use your disturbing videos and your inflammatory comments as recruitment fodder for their own ideologies. These words and images fan the flames of hate and war. Every online computer can be an explosive, remotely piloted drone that ultimately brings death and destruction. Every online computer can and should be a tool for peace. Look for America to be a positive, interactive face on the internet from this day forward. Go to our Homeland Security channel and tell us how you think we can do better. And we will listen and we will respond as global citizens who want peace and are willing to face head-on criticism and seek justice for those unjustly persecuted by our representatives and by those who unjustly claim affiliation with us. I'm sure the volume of complaints may initially clog our lines, but we intend in time to address every major issue in a pragmatic, realistic manner. And we want to extend our hands, both hands, to you, our neighbors, whether you hail from Brussels or Brunei, Manzanillo or Mauritania. And together, we will create World Peace 2.0. And if you want to save the life of an American soldier, make some friends in Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, West Bank.